All right, what's going on, you guys? Another LeetCode video today. This one's called Design Twitter. So they want us to design a simplified version of Twitter where users can post tweets, follow and follow other users, and they can see the 10 most recent tweets in the user's news feed. So each one of the functions, let's see, so they have this constructor Twitter, which initializes the object, obviously, and then post tweet just composes a new tweet. Notice there's no string for the actual tweet. We just get the tweet ID and the user ID. So yeah, we've also got get newsfeed, which retrieves the 10 most recent tweet IDs in the user's newsfeed. So we got to think about how we can get the 10 most recent tweets efficiently. So we've also got the follow and unfollow functions, which just do basically exactly what they say. So yeah, let's think about getting the news feed, right? So we're basically going to need a way to efficiently get the 10 most recent tweets. In terms of the news feed, the way that we'll solve it is we'll just have we'll do an unordered map of we'll have an integer key, right, which will be the user. Okay, so we're gonna have a hash map with an integer key. This will be the user ID, and then what it's gonna be storing. So, and I'll just say map here. So what it's gonna be storing is let's say a pair of let's see, we're gonna have an integer, which is the tweet ID. And then what else do we need? Well, we're gonna need a way to basically order the tweets based on the recency, right? So let's have a timestamp here. That'll be an int, and that'll basically just tell us. So this is going to be timestamp. That's basically going to tell us, when the tweet was posted. So smaller timestamps are going to indicate older tweets. Bigger timestamps are going to indicate newer tweets, right? So with that in mind, we're going to want a priority queue, right? But are we going to want a min heap or a max heap? Well, granted that the newer tweets have larger timestamps, we're going to want a min heap. We're going to want a min heap to basically create a sorted list of tweets, right, to return. And every time the min heap, right, so every time our min heap exceeds 10, so whenever the size, and this sign is backwards, whenever the size gets bigger than 10, we want to pop from this, because we want to maintain basically the 10 tweets with the greatest timestamp. Those are going to be the 10 newest tweets. So in a nutshell, that's how we're going to be solving this. We know that inserting and popping from a heap is going to be log in time complexity, or log whatever the size of the heap is, time complexity. So yeah, let's get into the code for this. So we're going to need so we're also going to need a way to store the the followers, but the way we're going to do that is, let's see, so let's have some private data members. We're going to use another unordered map for the followers, right? So we'll have an integer, which will be the person, some user, and then we'll have another unordered set of integers. That'll be all the users they follow. So, and we'll call this following. We'll want another unordered map for the tweets, right? What we were just discussing. So we're going to have an integer, and then we're going to have and I think I just said pair, right? I mean, this is like a vector of pairs, right? There's another data structure, but this is what each element in that vector will be, right? So vector. We're gonna have a vector of pairs. And those of you who caught on to that I missed that, were probably thinking like, what in the world? But it's going to be a vector of pairs. So, and an integer, that'll be the tweet ID. The other integer will be the timestamp. And we'll just call that tweets, because that's just how we're going to store the tweets. And I'm missing one of these. Okay, so we should be good there. We also need a timestamp, right? So that'll just be an integer. We could also, make that like a big int or something, but I think integer should be fine. Yeah, it looks like 3 times 10 to the 4 calls will be made. So there's not gonna be more than 3 times 10 to the 4 tweets. So yeah, int should be fine. So timestamp is going to need to be 0 when we initialize this Twitter object. Let's go ahead and handle following and unfollowing, because those are pretty easy. So for whenever somebody with then let's see it, they clarify this here, what's actually happening with these two, because it's a little confusing, followee, follower. But follower is going to follow the followee, right? So the user with ID follower started following the user with ID followee. So with our data structure, where we have, this is the person who's following all of these people, we're going to have, let's see, following follower ID, and then we're just going to push, or it's actually insert, because it's an unordered set, followee ID, right? And then that's pretty much how we do that. So it's only one line, and then it's going to be a constant time, right? Because we have a map and then a set. So this is going to really just be big O of 1. We just say erase when we no longer want this user to follow this user. So yeah, and then post tweet will be a little more in depth, because we're gonna have all of these tweets that belong to this user. So the way we can do this is, let's just say tweets, and it's gonna be with this user ID, and oops, this is the wrong function. We're not doing that one yet. We're doing post tweet. So tweets for user ID, we need to push back, right? Because it's a vector. We're gonna push back, and it's a pair, right? So there's a couple things. We need tweet ID as that first integer, and the second one will just be the current timestamp. So just say timestamp, and then we can increment the timestamp so that each tweet has a unique timestamp. Not really reflecting any actual time value, but that helps us determine exactly when a tweet was posted in relation to the other tweets, right? So, all right, so now for our get newsfeed, let's have a min heap like we discussed. So priority queue, it's going to be, let's see, the values here are tweets, right, which are pairs of integers. So let's go ahead and just grab this to make our lives easy. We can use a vector under the hood, so let's do that. And then let's also write a custom comparator so we can compare them by the second value, which is the timestamp. So comparator, this is a min heap. So for the comparator, let's make a struct called comparator as a private class member. So the syntax for this is just bool operator. There's 2 sets of parentheses, which is a little weird, but it's necessary. And then we're accepting 2 pair values to compare, right? So A by reference, and then pair B by reference, okay? And then how do we make this a min heap comparing the second value? Well, we return A dot second greater than B dot second. If we wanted this to be a max heap, we would just reverse this sign, but it's greater than for a min heap. So yeah, that's how it's gonna sort. those by their timestamp. So we basically want to, there's a couple different tweets or ideas we need to have in mind for getting the news feed, right? So it's retrieving 10 tweets, right? So we know that, but from who? It's going to be like whose tweets comprise the user's feed? Well, it's the users who the user's following, or just the user themselves. So it's, we're going to have to go into two data structures, or really just one data structure. Or no, yeah, two data structures, right? So the first is we're going to have to iterate through all of their followers, and then iterate through all of their followers' tweets, and then try to push those into the min heap, right? So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So first, get tweets from following, right? So how do we do that? We're gonna say for auto, because I don't really care what the type is here, but we're gonna iterate through all of their followers. So for auto, followee ID in following, and it's going to be following user ID, right? That'll just iterate through that set of all of their followees. Okay, and then we need to get the followees tweets. So we need a nested loop here. So for auto and reference, tweet by reference in tweets followee ID, we're going to try and, we are going to go ahead and push that to the max heap. So we'll say, or the min heap rather. So min heap dot push, and then the min heap is, let's see, what were the types? Is pair of integer, right? So we're going to push the and the tweet is actually ready to go. So because it's a pair of integers, so we can literally just push that tweet. Should be able to push that tweet directly to the min heap, and then we can just say to keep only the 10 most recent tweets, or the 10 tweets with the largest timestamps. So if min heap dot size exceeds, if it's greater than 10, then we're just gonna pop the smallest tweet, or the oldest tweet. So min heap dot pop. So yeah, that gets the tweets from following. Now we need to get tweets from self, right? As well, because those count as the news feed. So we'll just say for auto, we can iterate directly through this user's tweets, right? So for tweet in tweets user ID, we can just say min heap dot push, and it's going to be the exact same thing. So I'm not even going to bother with that again. We can just copy and paste it. So we're pushing the tweet, and if the heap exceeds size 10, we pop the smallest tweet. Yeah, that's getting tweets from self. So now we just need to put the tweets into a vector. We also have to reverse the tweets, right? Because the ordering, when we're popping every tweet from this min heap, it's going to give us the oldest tweet first, right? But they actually want the most recent tweet first. They want the tweets to be ordered from most recent to least recent. So yeah, so let's say we're going to need a vector, obviously, of integers for the tweets. We already have a data structure called tweets, so I'm just going to call this res for short for result. Otherwise, I would call it tweets, but we're already using that. Yeah, so we're going to say while we know that there's going to be exactly 10 tweets tops in our heap, right? So we can just say while min heap is not empty, right? So I've got to put the not. While min tweet, or while min heap is not empty, right? We're just going to say res dot push back, min heap dot top, and that's going to be it's a pair that's in the heap, right? Where the first value is the tweet, and then the second value is the timestamp. We only want the tweet, right? So we don't care about the timestamp. So we can just say top dot first. And then we can just say min heap dot pop. And that should put all of those tweets into res. And then once that is done, we just need to reverse it, right? So we can just use the built-in reverse function from res.begin to res.end. This is how you most quickly reverse an array in C++, just with that reverse function and the iterators of the array. So then we can just return res, and that should be it. So in terms of the time and space complexity, well, we're obviously going to have some space for the followers, some space for the tweets. The time complexity, I think, is probably the main concern of this algorithm, just for getting the news feed. So we could say we know that pushing and popping from a priority queue is going to be log n time, where n is the number of tweets in there. We can call, and that's going to be at max 10, so we can just call that like k. So we could say this is going to be big O of n log k, where n is like the total number of tweets for all of the people they're following, including themselves, and k is at most 10. So we could just say big O of n log k for the time complexity for get newsfeed. Yeah, so let's go ahead and run this. Just make sure there's no bugs. That way I'm sure I'm giving you guys the correct code. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this problem. So hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next piece.